Two very quick reminders before we dive into today's amazing new comic book day video. First reminder, this Friday, November 22nd at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Stephanie and I will be going live on episode 106 of Comics and Beers. Please come hang out, have a good time listening to us talk about all the latest comic book movie and TV news. We're going to be drinking some craft beers. Hope you guys will bring a cocktail, bring a beer, sit down, have fun. It's just, like I said, it's a ton of fun. Also, the next reminder, November 26th, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which is next Tuesday, a week from today, I will be going live with Alex from Dynamite Comics, and he's going to be selling comic books to you guys. It's a live claim sale, 8 p.m. Eastern on the 26th. Yeah, and it's your opportunity to get some great deals on some amazing comic books right here on the channel. It's going to be so much fun. So those are my two reminders. Let's go ahead and dive in to today's video. What is going on, comic book fans? Guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Wednesday poll list, which is your hype video for New Comic Book Day. And this week's New Comic Book Day is November 20th of 2024. And in today's video, I'll be covering all the books that are on my poll list. I'll be showing off all the coolest covers, all the coolest new number ones, all the coolest stories. It's just all the coolest stuff, guys. So strap in, because this is going to be a wild ride talking about all the amazing comic books that are on my poll list coming out this week. And yeah, this will be the last time the set looks like this too, because I'll be getting my brackets in for my new shelves, and I'm putting my new shelves up on the wall this weekend, so there'll be so many more comics to show off to you guys next week, which will be freaking amazing. But yeah, that's going to be it for the intro, so let's go ahead and check out my pull list. Alright guys, as you guys can see, this week was not the biggest week, but it was pretty large. But you guys can't see what books those are because they're so teeny tiny. So let me go ahead and throw them up on screen right now. Guys, there were a total of 21 books on my pull list this week. There was one new number one, and the list breaks down very evenly for the rest. There are 7 DC books, 7 Marvel books, and if you do the math correctly, there are 7 indie comics on my pull list this week. And guys, guess what? I did read the previous issue to every single book you see on screen right now, and I was behind on multiple books. I had to read 3 issues for Standstill, 2 issues for Jenny Sparks, and I forgot what other book. I was behind on one other. So I read a lot of comic books this weekend and yesterday. So I'm all caught up, which is pretty freaking amazing because there were a lot of really good stories to read this week, or to get caught up on for this week. So there are no books on the chopping block because really, guys, every single book you see on this poll list was actually really good. Or the previous issue was really good. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and dive right in to those cover lover picks. As always, guys, I want to remind you, there are so many more covers coming out this week. Variants galore that I'm not going to show during this cover lover section because these are the covers that I found that I thought were really cool. But if you guys want to check out all the covers that are available, go over to leagueofcomicgeeks.com. I found that they are the best resource for collating all the different variants for all the different comic books coming out every single week. So there's a link down in the description. Go check them out. Maybe there's a cover that I did not put on this cover lover list that you absolutely love, and you want to make sure that you don't miss out on that cover. All right, there are a total of 3, 6, 9. That's it. 9 cover lover picks. So let's go ahead and dive into these. And the first one up is Batman Superman World's Finest issue number 33. Now I showed you guys this cover when it was on final order cutoff because I think this cover is so stinking cool. This is the cover C. It's done by Adrian Gutierrez, who is the interior artist on this book right now. He was the interior artist on Blue Beetle, and he is a stud. His artwork is so gorgeous. The interiors for this Eclipso story has been just banging. It's been so good. Next up, Wolverine issue number 3 with the variant cover in the 1:50 ratio variant, which is a virgin, done by Pablo Villalobos. It's not the best, but it's also, I think it's really cool. This is a pretty darn good Lobos cover in my opinion, and I love that it's not just a slutty, sexy lady. No, we get badass Wolverine on the cover. Really good. Next up, Daredevil issue number 15 with the variant in the 1 in 50 Virgin variant done by Gabriel Del Otto. Now, Daredevil looks great. Kingpin, I initially thought he looked freaking amazing, but the more I look at his face, he kind of looks a little weird. But overall, this cover is absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I did not even see Elektra standing in the background. But Elektra is back there watching Matt Murdock get the crap beat out of him. Next up are two covers for the Department of Truth issue number 27. Now the first one up I like. It's not the best. The next one is the best. But this first one up is the cover B. It's the 1 in 10 ratio variant done by Allison Sampson. It's just really cool. It's different. You got that bright red, vibrant background when you got John F. Kennedy and his wife, and then you got that crazy Department of Truth lady, and then you got Marilyn Monroe on the front in blue. So it definitely, like, she stands out a lot. And the artwork is pretty good. But next up is the cover C variant, which is the 1 in 25 ratio variant done by David Talaski. Marilyn Monroe looks so good on this cover. This cover is an absolute banger. I think this is going to be the cover that everyone's going to want this week, in my opinion. Because this is not a largely ordered book. So I think this 1 in 25 is going to be hard to get your hands on. And just because of that scarcity, it's going to make this book hot. And this cover is just really, really good. So if you guys find this, pick it up. It is gorgeous artwork, but you guys might be able to flip this on the secondary market for a little bit of money if you can get your hands on it before everyone else does. Just a little tidbit right there. Next up, Thundercats issue number 10 with the cover B, but it also has the cover F foil, the cover G foil Virgin, and the cover O 1 in 25 Virgin ratio variant. This cover art is done by Lucio Perillo. And again, I love the way Chitara looks, but the way Snarf looks, it's so weird. I wish I could just go in and like cut him out and then like do like some photoshopping to like, add in some blue, sky background and some rock or whatever to make it look seamless without Snarf. But overall, this cover is still really, really good. All right, guys, 3 more covers. Next up is another cover for Thundercats issue number 10 with the cover E, the cover Q 1 in 40 Virgin, the cover V 1 in 10 foil, and the cover Y 1 in 15 foil Virgin variant. This cover is done by Raza, and it has Panthro on the cover, and Panthro looks freaking awesome. Raza crushed this cover. It is so good. Next up, The Rockefellers issue number 1. Now this is the cover D variant, which is a 1 in 50 ratio variant done by Mike Del Mundo. Now this is probably the one cover that I want to chase down this week that is a higher ratio cover. I think it's absolutely fantastic. This is a new Ghost Machine book, and it's just, I don't know, Mike Del Mundo. I want everything this guy does now. I want it. And so I am personally going to be chasing down this cover. I am going to check on that Department of Truth 1 in 25 for issue number 27, but this one is the one I want personally for my collection. And the final cover that I want to show you guys is the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 262, the facsimile edition for 2024, because there have been previous facsimile editions. And this is the 1 in 25 ratio variant done by Ben Harvey. It's just Ben Harvey, man. The guy's a star artist, and this cover is fantastic. I just wish this cover was not on a facsimile. All right, guys, those are all my cover letter picks for this week, which again is November 20th of 2024 for this amazing new comic book day. But let's go ahead and move over to the next section, which is my new number 1 that I think you guys have to be excited about. All right, guys, this is the one point in the video where I'm going to stop and I'm going to ask you guys, if you guys are enjoying this video, please smash the like button. It helps this video out so much. And the likes have, for some reason, started to go down on this video. So please, if you guys enjoy this video and you want to support the channel, that is the best way you can support the channel, by smashing that like button. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out that new number 1. I love it when I only have one new number 1 on my pull list, because it makes it so easy for me to do this section. I don't have to pick one book and really focus on that, even though I'm terrible at doing that. Normally, I just give you the synopsises for everything because I want you guys to have all the information. But there is only one new number 1 on my pull list this week, and that is The Rockefellers issue number 1. Now, this is coming from the writer of Peter J. Tasami, and this is going to have fantastic art by Francis Manapul, and I am just so excited excited to read this book. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis. A new cosmic time travel adventure from the minds of Peter J. Tasami and Francis Manapul. In the picture-perfect 25th century, the Rockefeller family, living a disconnected and emotionally distant existence, discover a terrible secret. In their hands is the fate of humanity. Hunted down, the Rockefellers enlist in the Time Zone Protection Program and escape to present-day Earth. If they can't find a way to trust each other in this strange, ancient world of today, they and our future will perish. Now, this is going to be a 40-page, a nice, thick, fat, juicy first issue, and it's only going to cost us $3.99 for the open order books at least. And this just sounds so good. They didn't have a little preview issue that you could read during that Ghost Machine book that they put out, which was really good. I really enjoyed that little tidbit that we got of this story in this family, and it's different, it's cool, it's dealing with future tech, but in today, and how they navigate the world in their weird sense, because the 25th century is so distant, was so good. And Peter J. Tasami is so good at doing family dynamics. That's why when he wrote Super Sons, that was so good, because he was so great of writing that type of story between two people that are basically brothers. And it was just so good, so good. So I'm really excited for this, and Francis Manapul's art is so gorgeous. This is absolutely fantastic. Now, we do got to cover the variants for this book, and there are a few. There's not a ton. So, like I said, there is the cover A that was up on screen during all that. Then there's the cover B done by Ivan Reis. There is the cover F, which is the blank variant. Then there is the cover C, which is the 1:25 ratio variant done by Mark, a name I'm not even going to try to pronounce right now. I don't like this cover at all. There is that sweet 1:50 done by Mike Del Mundo. And then there is a crazy cover E, which is a 1:1000 variant, which is going to have original art sketched on it by Francis Manapul. So if some store is going to be lucky enough to order 1,000 copies of this book, they will get one of these, but that cover price is going to be absolutely crazy. So yeah, that is the new #1 on my pull list, the Rockefellers issue #1, Ghost Machine goodness. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move over to the next section, which are my top 3 books that I think you guys have to be picking up this week, because the previous issue was so freaking good. We got 3 amazing books, amazing books on the top 3 list. I could put any 3 of these books in the #1 spot because they were all so good. But I put them in this order because I believe this is how they emotionally affect me from least to most. The #1 book, I was tearing up crying. It was silly. But in the #3 spot, we get Stand Still issue #4. This is coming from the writer of Lee Loridge. It has art by Andrew Robinson. Now, I spoke about this book when it was a new #1, and I somehow missed it putting it actually on my previous order, so I missed the first 3 issues. But I went down to my local comic book shop, which I don't really care for all that much, and they had all 3 issues, so I scooped them up, and I read them over the weekend, and god damn, this book was so good. So good. It deals with time travel technology. Actually, he can freeze time. The guy that has this watch thingy, he can freeze time and move around freely while everyone else is frozen and do whatever he wants. And it seems that what he is doing is some really terrible things, but also possibly some really good things. But he's really affecting the world as a whole as he's doing all these crazy things. It's really interesting, but then you find out that he's not the inventor of said tech. He stole this technology, and the inventor of this technology is desperately trying to track him, but also create a new watch that has the same abilities, because that is the only way that he's going to be able to stop him. There's so much more to this story. It is so good. And the art by Andrew Robinson, this guy should be doing books at the Big Two. It was so gorgeous to look at, every single page. And his design for the main, I'm going to call him a villain, but I honestly don't know if he is a villain, because he's doing terrible things, but he's also killing a lot of bad guys. He's not killing good guys. He's going around killing a lot of terrorists and those type of people. So is that really a bad thing? I guess he's taking justice into his own hands in per se, but I don't know. It is so fantastically written, so fantastically drawn. The pacing of the story is perfect. I love the layouts. We got some big panels, and then you got on other pages where you got a lot of other smaller panels, but it's all so well done. Give this book a chance if you haven't given it a chance. Now, these books are a little thicker. I believe each issue is 40 pages, and it's fantastic. It is just, this is a book that you guys should be reading. There is one variant cover. It's the B cover. It's up on screen right now, and that's it. Stand Still is an absolutely banger of a read. So good. If you like that kind of like spy mystery stuff with time travel tech or time freezing tech, so good. So good. All right, guys, that is my number 3 book. Let's go ahead and find out what my number 2 is. In the number 2 spot is Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 11. Issue number 10, I freaking loved. I loved it so much. And there was zero. Oh, I shouldn't say zero. Almost. No, there was zero Spider-Man. There was a little bit of Peter Parker in there, but it was zero Spider-Man. No big fights. It was just J. Jonah Jameson and Uncle Ben digging into this story for their paper. And you see them go on this journey of trying to really cement their sources and make sure they have all the information that they need to be able to publish this story. And at the end, they are confronted by Harry Osborn, and it was so well done. Now, if you guys did not know, this is written by Jonathan Hickman. This did have art not by Marco Checchetto. It did have art by, who was it? It had art by David Messina. His art style does look a little bit like Checchetto, so it's not very distracting. You're not like taken out of the story where you're like, oh my god, this is not, these characters look nothing like Checchetto, so it's like I'm having a hard time like connecting the story to it, because that happens to me sometimes when they change artists. It's so weird. But overall, that issue was so good. It was very wordy. It was a long, lots of little boxes with lots of little dialogue, but the world building and the immensity of what Ben and J. Jonah Jameson were doing was so heavy and well told, and they were just so cool about the whole situation. They were going to break this gigantic story, like earth-shattering story, and they were just like so chill and so cool. They were just two older guys who have been in this business for so long, and they just knew how to work the system, and it was just, I love that stuff. Not every single superhero book needs to be like these big bang out fights, because if it's just constant fighting, there's no room to build the story, to build the world, to build the reasons why you need to be scared or worried, or build up the immensity of the situation that's at hand. And that's what this issue was doing, really building that up and giving people reasons to care, but also for you to be worried for that character because they might be put in a really terrible situation soon. So good. I was blown away by that issue. I loved it so much. This whole run of Ultimate Spider-Man is making me love Spider-Man and the Spider-Man world again. It's so poopy that it's not the main Spider-Man book, because this is how good the main Spider book needs to be. I mean, I haven't read it in so long, but everyone that I know who is currently reading it is not enjoying it. They're picking it up because they don't want to miss an issue for their run. They're just basically completing a run. But this book, you have to be picking up for the story because it is incredible. It is so well done. There are a bunch of variant covers for issue number 11. We are getting the first appearance of the Ultimate Black Cat in this issue. The cover A by Marco Checchetto is great. There is a cover, our variant cover. I forgot Marvel doesn't do A, B, C, D. But there is a variant cover done by Corin Holwell that is okay. There is another one by Jose Maria Casanovas. It's a connecting cover variant, which I don't really care for. There is an incentive. It's a 1:25 ratio variant done by Terry Dodson, which is pretty good. But those are all the variant covers that are not an exclusive cover. Guys, this book is a must-have pickup in my opinion. I hope you guys are reading this book. If you are reading it and you're enjoying it as much as I am, guys, let me know down in the comments below. And let's go ahead and move on to the next book, which is the #1 book that I think you guys have to be picking up this week because the previous story had me crying like a big, big sissy baby. It was so good. All right, guys, the #1 book that I think you guys should be picking up this week because the previous story was so incredibly done. It has me so hyped for this issue is Wonder Woman issue number 15. Issue number 14 was one of the most heart-wrenching, well-told stories I've read since Mr. Miracle. If you haven't read Mr. Miracle, go back and read Mr. Miracle. That story is one of the best. But what Tom King does so well in that story is really pull on your heartstrings, really make you feel for the characters in that story beyond the world of superheroes. They make you feel for them as beings, like things that have the emotional spectrum that we do. They love each other, they care for each other, they only want good for each other. And that's what that book did so well. So in issue number 14 of Wonder Woman, you're presented with a story that starts off with you're learning that the Sovereign, which is the main villain that Wonder Woman has been fighting this whole entire time, does something terrible. Like, he has been trying to defeat Wonder Woman by any means necessary. And he's been mainly trying to do it mentally and physically, right? He's captured her and held her prisoner for like in a hole without food for so long. He's used his lasso of lies to try to like imprint lies in her head and like break her down that way. He's tried to physically beat her with all kinds of heroes and armies, and he hasn't been able to do it. So he figures the one way he can really get to her is to take someone that she loves and take that person away from her. And what happens in this issue is just beautifully told from Wonder Woman's perspective. You see her grieve like everyone else who would have someone of that importance taken away from them. You see her mourn him. You see her come out of it. And there's this moment that Tom King wrote that is so great. Yes, Tom King is the writer on this book, and art is by Daniel Samprier. It is so gorgeous to look at. Every single page is so beautifully done. And the story was just so well told, and it was so impactful, and the dialogue was perfect. And she goes through all these emotions, and there's like this moment that's in her head with like you're going through her grieving process, and you see her interact with this character that was taken away from her, and it was just beautiful. It was so beautiful. It was done in a Wonder Woman type way, but it was also very human, so many times these superhero characters are put on this pedestal as gods, and they're just smashing and banging and saving us, and you forget that if this was a real world, these characters would have the same emotions that we do, for the most part. And this person lost someone, and it was I was like, it was so silly that I was crying so much reading this book, but it was so beautiful. And at the end, you get the origin of Trinity, her daughter, and that was like amazing. It was so amazingly well done. All the little interweaving, and there were so many parts of the story where it wasn't just focused on Wonder Woman. You got parts where the Sovereign was narrating. You got parts where Wonder Woman was, and you got parts where there was these other characters that were helping of the weaving of the creation of Trinity. It was beautiful. I cannot believe Wonder Woman has made the #1 spot so many times in this run. But Tom King, when he is really writing really, really well, I don't know if there's a better writer outside of Jonathan Hickman than him. The way he can really hit emotion, it is so good. I love. I don't know if what he did is going to stick with the character, but it doesn't matter because it was such a pivotal moment in this book, and I cannot wait to see what Wonder Woman's going to do coming out of this to the Sovereign. Because Sovereign is a really cool villain, a really cool villain. All right, guys, that is the #1 book that you have to pick up because the previous issue was so stinking good. It's time to move on to the not top 3, but the books you're going to see, which is me running through the rest of the books on my pull list as quickly as possible, giving you little snippets of information on why you should or should not be picking those books up. All right, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this section could get a little lengthy because there are so many books on my pull list this week that are on this list. So I break down this list into 3 categories. The okay, which are books that I read that I did not care for, that I really cannot suggest you guys pick up. The good, which are solid reads. Like, they were not the best, but they were enjoyable, and you guys should consider checking them out for yourselves. And then there's the great. These are the books that could have made the top 3 lists on any other week where those other 3 books weren't because the stories were freaking amazing. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and dive into the okay. There are 2 books. Titans issue number 17. There is a new creative team on this book, and I think I'm going to officially drop this book. The creative team did nothing for me. The story was poorly written, and the artwork was not good. I did not enjoy it at all. I don't want to trash anyone too bad, but I did not enjoy this issue, like 0%. It was not good. Next up, Wolverine issue number 3. Issue number 2 was just a very boring read. How is Marvel taking one of the coolest X-Men and not getting a creative team that is just going to bring it and write these stories that are incredible, like Ultimate Spider-Man? That's the level where a Wolverine book should be. Next up are my good books. These are all solid reads. Batman and Robin, Year 1, issue number 2 comes out this week. Issue number 1 I read yesterday. Super enjoyable. Mark Waid is writing it. You need to know nothing more. But also, Chris Samney is the interior artist on this book, so it's gorgeous to look at. And you get this really enjoyable story about Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson in their first year of being together as Batman and Robin. It was really good. That first issue was good. Next up, Batman Full Moon, issue number 2. Really cool story about Batman fighting a werewolf, where he doesn't really believe in the mystical stuff. And he is basically trying to date Zatanna throughout the issue. And that was really weird. It was a really weird addition, but it was interesting enough. But the artwork by Steven Subik, I did not care for. The way he drew Zatanna was so poor. All the other stuff was great, but his rendition of Zatanna was like not good. And that's Zatanna. Zatanna should be amazing to look at no matter what. The story was pretty good though. I really did enjoy the story itself, so I'm excited to see where that is going to go. But there were some elements of the story that were just kind of weak, in my opinion, that kind of made it only a good book and not a great book. Next up, Daredevil issue... Daredevil issue number 15. This book by Saladin Ahmed, I believe is the writer on this book, it continues just to be a good book. I wish this was awesome. I wish this was in the great section, but this continues just to be a good book. There are good parts of this book. There are bad parts of this book. Overall, the story is good. I don't know. I'm trying to find details in my mind to be able to tell you guys more about it, but all I can really remember is that this is a good book. I'm going to continue collecting it because I want to see where the story is going to go with these 7 sins in Daredevil, because he's beat 5 of them so far. There's 2 more left, but I don't know. It's just a good read. Next up, Jenny Sparks issue number 4. I read issues number 2 and 3 yesterday, and they were way better than issue number 1. This is written by Tom King, and you got art by Jeff Spokes. The art is fantastic. Every single page is just gorgeous to look at, and the story features the character of Adam, and he has gone a little crazy, and he wants everyone to look at him like a god, and that's basically the story. And Jenny Sparks is there to diffuse this situation, to help Adam, and to help the hostages that he's taken, to have everyone, to prove to everyone that he is a god. And then the Justice League is there to take him down. and that goes horribly, horribly wrong. And the Adam character storyline is really cool. They're in this bar, and he's got these hostages, and these things keep happening with him and the hostages that are proving to everyone that he's almost godlike. It was really well done. Tom King, I did not like issue 1 of this book, but issues number 2 or 3, I say this is a good book, and it's leaning towards great. And Jenny Sparks is a really cool character. Next up, Miles Morales Spider-Man, issue number 26. This is just a good book. Cody Ziegler is not the greatest writer. This book is basically written for a bunch of, I would say, high schoolers. It's not leaning more towards the older generation, which I guess is the point because Miles Morales is a teenager and they're probably trying to get that demographic. But let's be honest. You got a bunch of 30, 40, and 50-year-old people collecting this book. Let's make this book better. It needs to be better. Next up, Spider-Wing Ghost Spider, issue number 7. Solid book. Stephanie Phillips. They get a new artist on the book. It is leaning to be a better and better read with each issue. It was really weak at the beginning. Now it's getting better, especially with that new artist on the book. It's definitely leaning to just a good read. Next up, 2 more books on the good. Spider-Man Reign, Volume 2, issue number 5. Elseworld Tale with Spider-Man set off into the future, multiverse craziness, and it's just a good read. I'm not absolutely in love with it. That's why it's in the good, not the great. And it's written and drawn by Carrie Andrews. So if that interests you, Spider-Man in the future, yeah, dealing with future stuff. It's crazy. And the last book is Thundercats, issue number 10. I really want this book to be in the great, but it's just not. It's just a good read, especially if you grew up in the 80s watching Thundercats cartoon. It's just a solid read. If the art was better, it might be great, but it's not. All right, guys, the great Batman, Superman, World's Finest, issue number 33. We have Mark Waid as the writer, Adrian Gutierrez as the artist, a Calypso story. Lots of fun. Lots of fun in this book. Mark Waid is just writing really fun stories. They're not like these big, earth-shattering stories, but they're just really, really fun. Like Tom King and Jonathan Hickman are telling some of the best superhero stories, period. But this story is just tons of fun. And that's what Mark Waid is doing for DC Comics, bringing fun stories. I like this one. And Adrian Gutierrez's art is so good. Next up, Black Cloak, issue number 10. I read this book 2 weeks ago because it was supposed to come out last week, but it didn't. This story is getting to a climactic point in the story. It's really, really good. You got it's set in a mystical world or fantastical world with all kinds of fantastical beings set in this city where there's like, you know, a lower part of the city where like, you know, people that are off live, and then upper echelon people. And there's the Black Cloaks that, you know, police everything. And there's a big murder going on. You find out there's this mystical creature that's doing all the murdering, and this mystical creature is not supposed to be real, and it's really cool. After that, Dark Knights of Steel All Winter, issue number 5. There's only 2 issues left, 5 and 6, and this book is a banger. It is so good. Elseworld Tales set off in medieval time, DC Comics, all your favorite crazy characters are in this series. It is so good. Next up, Geiger, issue number 8. This story is so good. There is a new artist on the book, which kind of is taking away a little bit from the story because you're used to Gary Frank. Gary Frank is such a fantastic artist, but the story featuring Geiger or Tark and his sidekick, the Knight, and their dog and their 3-eyed zebra is just so cool. Next up, The Moon is Following Us, issue number 3. I told you guys, I did not like issue number 1, but issue number 2 brought it back, baby. Brought it back. Daniel Warren Johnson is just one of the best writers. And I did not like how issue number 1 was presented to us. The timeline of it, I think, was really what affected me. But then they brought it back and really set the stage for this whole story. And that's what I needed from issue number 1. But I am all in on this book now. Hopefully it's just going to stay on this trajectory and it's going to get better and better and better. And there was a lot of art in that issue done by Daniel Warren Johnson. Because when you're in the real world, he is doing the art. And if you step over into the other world, Riley Russomo is the artist on the book. So it's pretty cool. 2 more books. No, yeah, 2 more books. Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, issue number 2. Issue number 1 was so good. Just continuing the story from the previous volume into this, because they keep changing the name of the book for some reason. I don't know why they just didn't call it Moon Knight throughout, but it does not matter. This book is so good. Jed MacKay, Alessandro Cappuccio, freaking amazing. It's such a banger. Final book, Prodigy, issue number 4. This is a book by Mark Miller, and I forgot who the artist is on the book, but it is just a ton of fun. You had 2 of the smartest brothers ever, and they just are being tortured by this other super smart villain, and the villain's trying to kill them and make them do things for him, and they're just outsmarting him and making these crazy inventions out of nothing, and it's just a ton of fun. A ton of fun. And that's it. That is everything that's on my pull list this week. The good, the okay, and the freaking great. And let's go ahead and wrap this video up. All right, guys, again, this wall is about to be updated. It's so exciting. I got all the wood almost all done and prepped, all the lengths cut. I got some sanding and sanding to do today for 2 more of the shelves, and then I'm gonna be done. The brackets are in the mail. They'll be here Thursday. I'm hopefully gonna take everything down on Saturday and put the new shelves up. It's gonna be awesome. And if you guys have watched from the beginning of the video all the way to this point in the video, so the timeline's like this and you guys just did this the whole entire time, I gotta thank you guys for watching the whole entire time and let you guys know that you guys are legends. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Another reminder, if you guys have not smashed the like button just yet, do me a favor, smash that like button. It truly helps this video out so much. Last but not least, if you guys watched that video and you guys enjoyed that comic book content and you enjoy like future comic book content, not past stuff, I don't look in the past, I always look to the future, and you guys like that kind of stuff and you're not subscribed, well, get yourself subscribed and hit that bell for notification and smash that like button. Notifications, not notification. And last but not least, I'm gonna tell you guys one more time. Comics and Beer this Friday, November 22nd, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Stephanie's gonna be, she actually is in California right now, and then she has to go to Mexico for work, and then she's coming back. She's landing Friday at 3, or she's gonna be back, yeah, 3:30. She'd be back here at 4:30. So she's only gonna have a few hours before the show. So she'd be probably a little jet lagged, but she's still gonna do it because she really is enjoying being back on the live stream, which is amazing. She's an amazing wife, an amazing woman, and I hope you guys are enjoying her back on the channel. And last but not least, guys, next Tuesday, the 26th, I'll be live 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel with Alex from Dynamite Comics, and he's gonna be selling books to you guys. It's a claim sale. He's gonna put a book up. It's gonna be like $10, and if you want it, put it in chat, and it will be yours. All the additional information will be coming your way on how to claim the books and all that stuff in a future video. And yeah, that's it. I'll be back on my final order cutoff video on Thursday, and then the live stream on Friday, and then it will be the weekend. It's gonna be amazing. Have yourself a great new comic book day tomorrow on the 20th, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.